Steak frites. Come on, what's better than a tender steak with some crispy fries? Nothing. Let's get into it. What's up everybody, James with JB Sous Vide, and I'm so glad you're back. If this is your first time here, this channel is dedicated to bringing you high quality sous vide cooking that you can do in your own home. If that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell so you get notified every time we drop a new video. Steak frites, or simply steak and fries, is a classic dish with two main components. You guessed it, steak and fries. But it's not always that simple. There are a million different combos of varieties that you can do to spice this up a little bit, whether it be condiments, sauces, marinades, just so many different things you can do. Today I'm going to keep it simple yet flavorful. The first course of action, determining what cut of beef. Is there a best cut? In my opinion, this dish benefits from a steak that you can make supremely tender. One of my favorites is the flap steak, or bavette as it's sometimes called. Of course, it's not a steak that you're always going to find at your grocer, so a skirt steak or a flank steak will do just as good, and you can even use the same time and temperatures for those as well. Speaking of sauces, the sky is really the limit here. I like to go with a nice flavorful sauce that I can use for both the fries and the steak. Today we're going to use a bright, fresh, and flavorful chimichurri that's going to go great with this cut of beef. And we're also going to be making our own fries today. We're going to go with some nice crispy shoestrings. So enough talk, let's get into it. Today we've got a whole dry-aged bavette from our friends over at Porter Road. Now this is totally optional, but I like to portion mine out so that in the end the pieces won't be extremely long. So I'll usually cut a whole bavette into 1.5 to 2 inch sections. As you can see, our first cuts are with the grain, and the grain is highly visible on this cut. That is so when it's cooked and sliced, my next cut will be against the grain. We'll take those portions and salt them. Don't go too crazy here because the chimi is going to have some salt in it too. Remember to hit it all on both sides. We'll then bag it up. You can use a vacuum sealer like this, or you can totally just use the water displacement method with some Ziplocs. We'll take the portions over and we'll drop them in our preheated water bath. Alright, let's talk time and temp. For this cut, the time is very forgiving. Anywhere from between 2 to 4 hours is going to be perfect for this. You know, like I always say, if you have more time, you can do it. Now, temperature is kind of interesting. I find that with this cut, it appears a lot more red than other cuts at this same temperature. Now, I'm not really sure why this is, but it is very common for somebody to see a 130-degree bavette steak and think that it was a rare steak. But remember, color does not equal doneness. I know sometimes we like to judge by red color, but you really can't do that. 130 is 130 is 130. With that being said, sometimes you can't tell people that. Sometimes they're just going to see that color and be turned off right away. If you have got family members that are kind of turned off by that bright red color, you may want to bump it up to 135 or 140 on the temperature. But alright, let's get back to it. Time to do that chimi. We'll start with 3 cloves of garlic, half a yellow onion, half a cup of cilantro, half a cup of parsley, half teaspoon of red pepper flakes, Italian seasoning, and salt, with a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/3 cup of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, and blend it on up. We'll pour it out, and that's a vibrant, fresh chimi. On to our shoestring fries. Here I have 1 russet potato. We'll set our mandolin on the julienne setting and start slicing our tater. I would always remember to use that little hand protector because the amount of force you've got to use could spell a disaster for those fingers. Once they're sliced, you're going to transfer them into a cold bowl of water. We'll give them a toss in the water and try to get some of that excess starch off. We'll let them sit in there for about 10 minutes. Next, we'll take them and transfer them to a bunch of napkins or even a kitchen towel. Spread them out and we're going to pat them as dry as we can get them. We don't want to be putting wet fries in our hot oil. It won't take long to get them fairly dry because they're so thin. While they dry, you can heat a couple inches of canola or peanut oil in a large pan. I got mine to about 350. When the oil is heated, we'll work in batches. I won't put too many in at a time. You don't want to crowd the oil. We'll use our spider to separate them and get them moving. Again, being so thin it won't take long. A minute or two tops. Check for the color you want and pull them when they're there. When they come out, I like to transfer mine to a bowl and season them up. Gonna use a favorite rub of mine, Meat Church Holy Voodoo. We'll drop some seasoning in and give them a toss. Look at those crispy shoestrings. As our steak finishes, we're going to dry it off and give it some seasoning of its own. This is a 50-50 of blackening season and a Meat Church Holy Cow. We'll heat up our carbon steel on high and add a little bit of avocado oil. Once it's smoking, we're going to lay our steak in away from us. We'll let it sear on this side for between 45 seconds and a minute. I know this blackening season likes to get dark. We'll flip it and we'll give the same amount of time on the other side. Make sure to also give it some time on those edges. Alright, time for the payoff. Let's get to slicing. Like we talked about before, since our first cut was with the grain, all of our cuts now will be against it. We don't have to worry about remembering which way because we already know. Remember, the thinner you can slice it, the better texture you're going to get. And there you go. Looks amazing. Tender check, passed. Now let's plate it up. We've got some of our chimi and a beautiful steak. We'll add a handful of our crispy shoestrings, and then we'll spoon on some of that fresh chimi. Alright, y'all, let's see how we did. Not gonna lie, I had some of that chimi already, and it is delicious. Can't wait to taste it on this steak. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful green. Tender check. Oh, pulls apart. There's something about a really delicious chimi. I don't know what it is, but just that garlic, that vinegar, the acidity goes so well and cuts through that steak. Especially when it's so tender like this, you can't beat it. That chimi is just so fresh. I can't get enough of it. I might eat the whole thing of chimi tonight. All right, now let's take a look at those fries. Beautiful little shoestrings. Still crisp, even though they've kind of been sitting a little bit waiting for me to take pictures. Just delicious. That voodoo on fries is delicious. Kind of adds a little bit of heat, a little bit of sweet. Delicious. All right, everybody, if you got something out of that video, go give it a like down below. Hit that subscribe button and go watch some of the other videos we got on the channel for you. I'll catch you on the next one.